You're listening to the Beyond Mommy Dearest podcast, where we talk about growing up with narcissistic moms, how it shapes your nervous system, your relationships, and your sense of self, and how to heal without shame. I'm your host, Noelani Pearl Hernandez. Today's episode is sponsored by The Happy Cannabis, plant powered body care that actually works. Today's conversation is a powerful one. I'm joined by Alea Coburn. We're talking about narcissistic abuse, the body, and what it really takes to reclaim yourself. All right. Well, thank you so much, Alea, for being here. And first, for everybody, because I know you were thinking the same thing I am. Aaliyah is rocking the best bangs I have seen. Only one other person in my entire life I have seen with these amazing bangs. So thank you for blessing us with you and your bangs.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. I found you on Instagram, and I was really happy that you said yes to come because as we've been sitting and talking and finding out like more about each other,
Mhm.
it's really been helpful to me because I totally believe that each person is on their own journey. So I would really love to know, like, as we get started, what does choosing peace at the cost of aloneness? And I want to flag something here, not loneliness, aloneness. Loneliness is different. Aloneness mean to you? And when did you first start realizing that was really a part of your healing path?
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a loaded one. And I think that we can go into it more as things come up. But
Mhm, mhm,
choosing peace at the cost of aloneness means a lot of things.
mhm.
And the first thing that comes up for me is, nervous system capacity. Because
Yes.
as humans, obviously, we're wired to be
Mhm,
interdependent. And
mhm,
so
mhm,
I think a huge reason why a lot of people either settle or aren't able to see the way through or forward in
mhm.
either an abusive situation or even just like a mildly like this is not aligned kind of
Yeah,
situation
yeah.
is the nervous system just reacts as if you're going to die when you choose to
Yes.
step into the unknown. It's just so I think that, the biggest cost of aloneness is really just like the sensational discomfort of
Mhm,
being
mhm,
in the unknown
mhm,
and bearing that discomfort.
mhm,
um and I think I'm just wired to kind of feel intense sensations, so that
mhm,
helps.
mhm,
And I
mhm,
also practiced a lot of like meditation and whatnot when I was
mm.
younger. And so I think, a couple of different combination of situations kind of primed me to be more like bold or courageous when it came to choosing being alone.
Mhm.
Um, and then you asked something else adjacent to that.
Like, when did you first realize that this was part of how you had to heal, your healing path?
Yeah, so I don't know if there's like one specific moment I can pinpoint, but I think that I realized it more the more I lived life and was dealing with the consequences of the
Mhm,
extreme, like intolerable
mhm,
discomfort
mhm,
physiologically that it cost to stay in situations or relationships that were misaligned
mhm,
somehow.
mhm.
And then sadly, I mean, and this is the reality of being an abuse survivor, right? Like when you survive abuse, the healing is kind of all on your back. It's becomes your
Yes.
burden. What people do to you becomes your responsibility. And
Right.
there's so many stigmas and so much
Mhm,
shame in society because of that,
mhm,
which it's so sad.
mhm, mhm,
I've found a lot of clarity through that, and I
mhm.
grieve for other people who are still kind of, their identities are entangled you know, with what doesn't belong to them. And I think also another reason that I realized aloneness was part of my path or whatever, just the circumstances,
Mhm.
um, just recognizing my limitations and my
Yeah.
capacity. That
Mhm,
that's kind of why I was going into the abuse survivor, it's all our
mhm, mhm, mhm.
responsibility. Feels like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Because like I recognize that because of where I came from, like I don't have the same relational capacity that, normal people do. And that
Yeah.
sounds
Yes. Normal.
normal,
Yes. Yeah.
people who grew up in loving, supportive, safe environments and have more automatic room. It's like their
hmm
bodies are conditioned to
hmm hmm
um, maintain some kind of equilibrium during moments of misattunement, for example,
hmm hmm
where,
hmm
for me, it takes a lot more for me to come back to my center during
hmm
a moment of misattunement,
hmm
just for one example. And
Yeah.
and I own what I need and I try to name it, but
hmm
it's a sad but true cost, to have to pay when you realize that like I actually need a lot more than what is being provided
Right.
for or being
Yeah.
reciprocated. And I don't know. Yeah, that's just kind of my basic
Yeah,
thought.
no, I think that's great. One of the things by the time people hear this podcast, they would have heard we had a Spirit Bird Holden on who's a shaman. So she talks a lot about that, the feeling and the energy, and also Heather Seipel, who is an energy spirit guide. And I think that, you know, I said it when I had them on, it's like a charcuterie board, right? And we decide. And please have your kitty join you, have them have
Yeah, she wants to come
I
here.
love it. um and that energy is really like, it's a very important thing, and people just explain it all different kinds of ways, right? There's the some people talk about it in a very religious way, some people talk about it in the spirit way, some people talk about it in, feeling in the sensitive way. And I think it is really good to be able to focus on what talks to you, meaning like what is the important thing. And so I think that in my experience, the feelings, oh, hello, kitten.
This is
Hello, so
better.
cute. Butter. I love it. He's like, I haven't given you permission to let me on the podcast yet. I think one of the things that's really important when it comes to sensitivities and when we're dealing with narcissistic abuse, I think that we talk about them and we talk about how we're like constantly pushing down that. And because of that, when we come back to attunement or alignment or any of those things after we've been out of it, it could feel like a lot to a normal person that we're sensitive, and that's because a lot of our needs weren't met. And that's okay. Like, I think for a lot of survivors, that's a hard thing to be okay with that. I always say by the grace of the higher spirits that I have the husband that I have now, because he understands that. He understands that
Yeah.
sensitivity and he honors that. Like, he can see when it's too much for me, or maybe I just need that heating pad or whatever it is. But for a lot of survivors, they rather be alone because finding that person is hard. And I will
Yeah.
say this, my husband just kind of like appeared in front of me. Like, I really believe that we were on two totally different paths that just kind of crossed. But this aloneness, and I want to say this in a really like a clear way. Like, I rather be alone than invisible, because a lot of times in that narcissistic relationship, like for us it was our mothers, for others it could be their romantic relationships or whatever it is, they rather be invisible. So how do you define that, like social invisibility, and what does that do to your nervous system over time?
Yeah, that's another great loaded question.
I know, I
How do
know.
I love it though. No, I love it. It's
Yeah.
deep, it's rich. Um, So how do I define that, or I guess what's my experience with that
hmm
social invisibility?
hmm
Is that, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like if I thought about this longer, I'm sure I would be able to come up with specific examples, but I don't know. I guess I'll just give one basic, very basic
Yeah,
example.
yeah,
And this
yeah.
kind of shows up in many different areas. So going back to the topic of um, being a sensitive
Mm-hmm.
survivor who
Mm-hmm.
is healing from neglect and unmet needs. You're a
Hmm.
dry sponge.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
handle differently than other people who have
Hmm.
those needs met, right?
Right.
So I think that one experience of social invisibility that I have, I don't know, felt kind of smacked by
Hmm.
frequently throughout the years is, I would say a lack of like trauma-informed language
Yes.
and frameworks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
And
huge.
yeah, I'll give you an example, okay?
Okay.
And I'm not going to name names, obviously, but
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a group I go to, and it's part of my Jewish community.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I love them, and I love philosophically, intellectually, spiritually, emotionally
Hmm. Hmm.
stimulating, rich,
Hmm.
deep
Hmm. Hmm.
conversations. And that's kind of the context that we, meet in this specific
Yeah.
group. Um,
Yeah.
and when I, first moved to Arizona, I was looking for community groups, this and that. And then I
Hmm.
saw one of these groups was about like anger management. I don't know what they
Yeah.
called it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
something about anger. And this is something that is probably inconsequential, just goes
Yeah.
over your head.
Yeah.
Someone, who has this kind of stable, safe cushion of a
Yeah.
foundation in their
Yeah.
nervous
Yeah.
system.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when I was reading the description of this event, it just like triggered almost this cascade of just like grief of
Mm-hmm.
all the times that this part of my experience as a survivor was erased and I felt
Hmm.
invisible. And specifically, the event was written, and anger was framed as negative, and it was
Yeah.
framed as like, you know, this is a problem to fix, and this is a toxin to
Hmm.
erase,
Hmm.
and this is an
Hmm. Hmm.
obstacle to overcome. But I'm like, no, the wisdom of my anger has been to feel it and
Hmm.
to
Hmm. Hmm.
metabolize it into boundaries, into recovering my sense of my
Hmm.
fragmented sense of self that was robbed from me during a moment of abuse.
Yep.
Whatever. Anger has profound wisdom. And so I get, yeah, that's just one small example of how, I mean, it's small, but it's enormous. Like I
Yeah.
think that myself and countless other survivors maybe don't even recognize it all the time, but just the way that I would say emotions in general and the wisdom
Hmm.
of like the
Hmm.
body in general
Hmm.
is treated, especially in like neo-spiritual
Hmm.
healing kind of
Hmm.
circles and things like that.
Hmm.
So, yeah, and I'm happy to like go more into different things if you have more questions on that, but that's my kind of first thought when I think of
Yeah.
how I socially erased. That's just one way, and it shows up in so many different
Yeah.
forms. And then also like, trying to make friends, and as
Yes.
well intended as they are, when
Yes.
I start to open up, as is the
Hmm.
natural process of forming a friendship,
Yeah.
forming a bond,
Yeah.
and they respond in a way that, unintentionally dismisses
Hmm.
or dilutes or invalidates my experience,
Yes.
or, doesn't center me. And if I'm being
Right.
honest, I need to feel center. I need to feel like the center of the universe when I'm talking about
Yeah.
these things.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they're so
So real,
sensitive. Yeah.
it's so tender,
And
and
traumatic.
also
Yeah.
yes, and I'm coming from a place, myself and other survivors too. We're coming from a place where we have not gotten that kind of
Mm-mm.
attunement in the face of abuse
Mm-mm.
for years. And it's like imagine
Yes.
carrying that burden in your flesh. It's like my face is
Yes.
getting hot thinking
I
about it
know. I
because
hear
like,
you. Yeah.
like it's an impossible burden to carry. And then going back to the
Yeah.
aloneness thing, it's like
Yeah.
I it's not even that I would prefer to be alone all the time, but it's like I cannot afford to be in the company of people who
Yes. Hmm.
amplify this sense of me feeling erased yet again, or
Yes. Yeah.
neglect. yet again, it's like all the micro fractures,
Right. It's kind
anyway.
of like microaggressions, like when we talk about them, like in racism or something, but it's like those microaggressions towards trauma because, it's to me, it's always
Mhm.
interesting because I enjoy being able to talk to survivors of mothers who were narcissists because I don't have to explain it. And so
Yeah.
there's this kindred spirit to know if I say something like, oh, and my mom did this, you and whoever it is in their minds, oh, or even someone who's survived narcissism, oh, right. Uh-huh. I totally get that. Because then I don't go to that invisibleness. Then I
Yep.
don't feel like I'm just being pushed aside. And
Yep.
and the reason why I think for a lot of daughters of narcissistic mothers, why that hurts is because your foundation and that fundamental need was just pushed aside.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you got blamed for it. Always the icing on
Yep.
the cake. And I'm like,
And
thank
we
you.
get to carry the shame. We get to carry
Yeah.
the shame for it for the rest of our lives because,
Yes. Yeah.
systemically, this
Yes.
dynamic is not acknowledged. Like the amount of
No.
shame I've had to like wade through my
Yeah.
whole
Yep.
life
Mm-hmm.
because I'm
Mm-hmm.
carrying something that was never my responsibility. And
Right.
then when I finally own,
Yeah.
actually, what I need, and
Yeah.
I want to
Mm-hmm.
feel like the
Mm-hmm.
most important person in the room sometimes. I need that attunement.
Yes.
And it's
And
like,
that's okay.
that's yeah, there's no
That's
shame in
okay.
that.
No,
You
not at
know?
all. And I think that's, because people are like, oh, that might be a narcissistic tendency. No, it's not. Fuck you. It's not. Like, we know what it is. Like, really? Go fuck yourself. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, if anything,
What,
it's overcompensation
yeah,
for what never showed up
yeah.
when it was supposed to, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Well, and it's
Yeah.
really hard, especially like when if you go into the corporate world and like one of the, our other side of our business is we work with, companies and corporations, and we do the trauma informed work because our personal life doesn't stop when we like, okay, it's time to clock in. It's not severance. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it's not severance. Like we don't check in and our everything's erased and we're just little worker bees. And then we check back in, and that's just not the way it is. So understanding how people respond, knowing to listen to understand, and understanding that anything that you say is going to have impact. And if that does have impact, all you have to do is say sorry. Say sorry, make a note of it in your notebook, and don't do it again. Like
Yeah,
that's what real people do. If we want to talk about normals, right? That is what, I personally don't think it's too much to ask. I don't think
I
it
agree
is.
with you. This is such a good one. Can I wax on that for
Yeah.
a minute?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, please.
Something that I have been talking with my amazing therapist about lately
Hmm. Hmm.
is how so many people struggle to I want to say give that type of unilateral attunement the way that an unconditionally loving parent would
Yes.
tend to their baby who is losing their mind because it's the end of the world because they just got a paper cut or something
Yeah,
and their
yeah.
parent took the piece of paper out of their hand too quickly. So now the parent is
Yeah.
the devil, and the
Yeah,
parent,
yeah.
like, the parent has the capacity to sit there and nurture them and
Hmm.
coddle them, whatever. It's like that's unilateral attunement. The parent is not taking it personal that the child is
Hmm.
mad at
Hmm.
them for ripping the
Yeah.
paper out too quickly. And,
Yeah.
I noticed that something that, relationally, I think I have a pretty high capacity to give is that because I learned
Hmm.
to do
Hmm.
that based off
Hmm.
what I receive and whatever.
Yeah.
And one thing that I have just been reflecting on a lot is that so many people, and again, I think it comes back down to the capacity of the nervous system to like hold a sensation and separate identity from what's happening
Yes.
and create
Hmm.
space inside.
Hmm. Hmm.
That so many people don't have room to put their ego aside when someone
Yes.
needs the floor for a minute.
Hmm.
And that's another reason why I have felt very socially isolated or,
Yes.
chosen rather than social interaction
Mhm, mhm,
because as a survivor, being sensitive,
mhm,
needing what I
mhm,
need,
mhm,
having
mhm.
an empty cup in certain areas of life, it's like
Right.
I have run into this over and over and over in my life, like constantly,
Mhm,
where,
mhm.
you know, when my need comes up and I do need to be centered, which is not
Yeah.
every day, it's not all the
Yeah.
time, but when I
Yeah.
need, like, what I need to, like, come
Yeah.
down, regulate myself better, people pull back the attention on them. They center themselves and then they make it
Yes.
about them, make it about their
Yes.
discomfort. They're
Yes.
not able to really be present at that level that only seems intuitive for like maybe for
Mhm,
like mothers of young babies because you can't personalize what a little baby does to you, but it's easier to personalize what
mhm.
an adult does to you. And I
Right.
think that's part of a huge issue why a lot of
Mhm,
adults
mhm, mhm, mhm.
have trouble healing or finding support to like
Yes.
heal, So
Yeah.
that's a big one.
Well, and I think that, again, I don't gas my husband up because he's going to listen to this. I say it because I think that it is a very unique trait that he has. He comes from a very family that full of love, all of those things. And just recently, we were watching a show. We love the show called Will Trent, and in the show, his Will's like detective um, partner mother gets kidnapped and she's searching for her mom. Now, I don't know if the mom's a narcissist because I don't diagnose, but the mom was like super emotionally immature, you could tell, because the voice in the daughter's head was like mean, like, you're never going to find me. You're a whore, like all the things that you can imagine. And my husband paused it and he said, "Is that what it sounds like in your head?" I said, like 1,000 times worse. And he's like,
Well,
how do you, what? Like he was astonished. He's all, it's like rainbows and cupcakes and like, you're awesome. In my head, I was like, yeah, you had your mom, your dad, your amazing grandmother. You had all of those things to help build a foundation that was beautiful, and it has grown on that. And no one can tell you any different. Whereas if somebody were to come to me, like, and I see this a lot, like with nonprofit leaders, there's like this imposter syndrome. If they get like, if a board chair says, "Oh, hey, it would be really great if you made this Excel spreadsheet to look like this," they're like, "Oh my gosh, sure, no problem." And but on the inside, they're screaming, "I can't believe I messed that up." And that's the constant struggle um, that I personally have, where it's constantly my mom's voice in my head telling me all of the things that she said while I was growing up, right? And
yeah.
I think that if people could put forward other people first, meaning like when we meet someone, because the curiosity that you give is really not curiosity for the other person, it's your curiosity for them. But if you could take a moment and listen to learn, not listen to respond, that a lot of the conflict that we see in our other work or the conflict in the world would really disappear. And I
Yeah.
think that, but and then that takes us down the thing, but maybe they want the conflict. There's like this whole other thing. But I think that if we could really take a moment, and what I always tell our leadership people, and then also women that I'm helping with this, is like, take a tick, take a pause, take a breath before you respond. If you're still talking to your mom, you're not no contact like we are, take a tick. Like, is this worth the 10 spoons that I'm going to have to give you? And then I'm going to go lie in bed, have a nervous system crash, be totally exhausted, and not enjoy my weekend? Or should I just let it go and not talk to you for the rest of the weekend? Right. And so I think that is like really, really an important thing. And I don't think that we as a society talk about the absolute destroying that this kind of abuse does to your nervous system. It's
Yeah.
like if I like sniff a narcissist out, or if I get like a message from my mom, which I've blocked her so that they all go in a special folder, but if I decide to like torture myself and go look, instant tummy ache. Like it's an
Yeah.
instant tummy
Yep.
ache. I'm like, I need to use the restroom. Instant tummy ache.
Yep.
Um, my daughter, she's highly sensitive. We have two of them that are, but they like anytime they have a tummy ache, I'm like, they're burnt out. I can tell immediately. Like it's a okay, what do you need? Here's a heating pad. Here, go lie down, go rest. So thank you for calling that out and waxing on it a little bit because I think that it needs to be heard.
Yeah. 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 I don't need to, there's so much to say on this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I'm going to have you back, don't worry, so we can say all the other things and we can keep saying them. So, um
Yay. Okay. I love having
yeah,
conversations like that.
good,
Yeah.
good. So, one of the things that you write about, that you talk about on your Instagram, is that you were raised into neglect, and I'm sorry because besides having an awesome bang, you are a really amazing person. So, like, let's put that out there. But
Thank you.
realizing what you needed through that contrast. So, what for you were like the early clues for you that your needs were not being met as a child?
Ooh. Hmm. I don't know if I even identified that my needs are not being met when I was a
Hmm.
child.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I mean, when I was like 12 or 13, I recognized that something was wrong with my mom. I was like,
Yeah,
something's
yeah,
wrong. Something's
yeah.
wrong here. Um, and then I don't know. I think maybe if you have like a more specific question that would help me
Hmm.
figure out where to go.
Where did
Um,
she like? What was it that you were like? Oh, because I think I'm going to make a guess that her like attitude like started to like exacerbate at that time. Like there was more there, and you will also there were more different needs for you too at that 12 and 13 as you're growing up and going through all the things that you go through at that age. I know for me that was about the same time, and what I found now that I'm
that you
going through
realize
it,
that.
yeah, that I realized like my mom, there's something going on. Like this is not normal. And I also felt the difference in the need because of that. Like I'm going through perimenopause right now, and my girls need like different things from me. And when they need something, I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this on the back burner for a second. Yes, I might be roasting or feel overwhelmed or anxious or whatever it is, but let's take care of their needs first, just for a second. But if
Mhm.
I'm at that point where I'm like, I got to take care of me, I got to put the, air mask on me, I'll take a tick for that. But you mentioned like
Okay.
that age. So what do you remember about that age? Or what did you remember where you're like, oh, that doesn't seem right?
Yeah. So when I realized that something was wrong when I was like 12 or 13, I had like a family therapist at the time that my
Hmm.
mom
Hmm.
would go to, and she took
Hmm.
us kids to. I had a brother and a sister,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, and older. I was
Hmm.
at well, I am.
Hmm.
But I would go to the therapist and complain and grieve and whatever, talk about my grievances
Hmm.
about my
Hmm.
mom. And then he just had this pattern of,
Hmm.
saying like, I'm so sorry that's happening, but he wasn't actually proactively doing anything
Like
to
helping. Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's when I recognized something was wrong. And yeah. And then when you made the air mask analogy, that
Hmm.
reminded me of, and again, I don't think that I consciously recognized that I wasn't really thinking in terms of needs and categorizing needs or whatever at this time. But when I was 16, I had a breaking point
Hmm.
where I was tired of surviving. I was tired of
Hmm.
being
Hmm.
daughter scapegoat of a narcissist.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I had zero energy, zero capacity left.
Mm-hmm.
And I was suicidal. I
Mm-hmm.
never had any desire to actually kill myself or to actually die.
Right, but
But
ideations. Mm-hmm.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
I was just too exhausted to emote, to
Mm-hmm.
speak,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
this to breathe. Like,
Mm-hmm.
ugh. And so I told the family therapist, I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm too exhausted of existing,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
under this roof. And he suggested that I submit myself to a psych ward and they can help you there. So I did that. I know,
Oh,
I know. Let's get a rain cloud for
yeah,
that
let's do a rain
one.
cloud for that one. What a loser. Come on. It's gonna come.
Oh,
We'll
maybe
keep
it's because it's
talking.
recording.
Of
I don't
course,
know if it's,
now, right? Like usually,
we're just
just so
gonna
you
imagine
know,
a rain
there's
cloud.
rain clouds. Yeah, I will put it in
Yes,
later.
storms. Yes,
Yes.
storms.
Oh,
Um,
I'm
and it's even
uh
weather out my window right now. But so
uh
anyway, I
yeah.
that was the kind of a moment where I was like, I surrender. I can't do this. And then like cue all of that
Yeah.
systemic
Hmm.
shame, whatever
Yes.
that I've been
Yes.
talking about earlier. But yeah, I was in there for a week.
Yep.
And I mean, I can go more into details at some point or later or whatever,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, I think that was one of the first moments where I was like, I need something that I'm not getting.
Yep.
Um, so
I'm
yeah.
so sorry. First of all, I think so. First, I want to point out Butter, the emotional support cat. He is solid. This is some solid
Oh,
like support.
this is my queen, the queen of my
Oh, Queen,
universe,
I'm
Miss Girl.
sorry. I am so sorry I misgendered you. Miss Butter.
She can be a
um
boy.
it's really interesting that you bring that up. I think that one of the things that I also experienced this part of it, not the therapist or the counselor trying to commit me, but them like not being equipped. And I think that
Yeah.
if I could like put a flag in for therapists that I know that narcissists don't go to therapy, but if they do, it could look like this. And I think that there's like a lot of this, like if we talk about family court and narcissists like snowing over therapists and going through this and dare I say, like, it's a lot of like victim shaming because my assumption on the other side of that family therapy is your mom saying something to the effect of, she's too much, I can't handle her, she's so sensitive, all of these things that are not true. But to a untrained, and I say untrained in this specific type of personality disorder, there is a lot of damage that can occur. And it can not only occur with the person who is the narcissist, but can occur throughout a family. And I would even take it a little further that it is quite possible that your mom created the scenario in order to do something like this.
Yes.
Okay. So we're on the same page. We're same here because I think that things like this do not happen because of a coincidence. I think that one thing that I know about narcissists, and we see it all over, is they are in it for the long game, right?
Yep.
So if there is something that just happens to fall in their lap and they can move forward with it, I think that is what I see with a lot of narcissists, whether it's a romantic relationship, a familiar relationship, whatever it is. And the and here's what I'll say: the really sick part of that whole thing is this: you go through all of this, you experience things like this, therapists that don't listen to you, maybe things go a little bit further, and then you decide to leave. All right, so you could do that. And the really fucked up thing that narcissists do is they plant, like I say, they plant these little IEDs in your head to where you're grieving the loss of them who are total fucking assholes. Like that's the thing that get like, and then you're struggling with yourself. It's like, why am I sad? Because my mom's not here. Oh, I'm grieving this. But she was a total, like, see you next Tuesday. Like, I can't put it any nicer than that. Like, seriously. And
Yep.
that to me is the maddening part. So I want you to know that you are seen. Fuck your mom. If we need to ride tonight, we'll ride tonight. You and me. I'll be out to Arizona and we'll go wherever she is and I will kick her ass for you. But please, that is not assault. Just so we know, liability waiver, not assault.
It's a
Totally joking.
sentiment. It is not
Yeah.
literal.
Yes.
Yes,
Totally
received.
joking.
And
Yeah.
I will say too that like as unserious as it, like obviously you're not being
Yeah. Yeah.
literal,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like hearing those words, like I need to hear that. Like yes,
Yes. Every
it's
now and then.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you,
yeah,
you fuck that. Like that's what I have to say. Fuck that. Because
yeah.
especially now when I think what I'm seeing is a lot of people's nervous systems are just kind of like out of whack. And it doesn't matter
Mhm.
what side you fall on, right? If you fall on the wrong side and think that abusing kids is okay, fuck you. That's all I have to say. But, um,
Yeah.
that's what I have to say. But that to me is like really, really crazy. And, the other thing I want to call out is I want to talk about how I think this is definitely like a Western thing. And I would even say that this is probably like an Asian thing because I'm biracial, so I see this a lot in the Asian culture where that anger or any emotion is like push it down, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
anger is a natural emotion, and when emoted in a way where it's not a danger to anybody else is totally acceptable. I can be upset about stuff if I want to, and I can be mad about it. The thing that I find for me is when I always get I feel like I'm on fire when I'm in a disagreement like if I'm not agreeing with someone that I really care about, I feel like I'm on fire. And I'm like, okay, how do I put it out? How do I put it out? Like what's going on? That literally is the way I feel all the time. And
Wow.
I don't think that people understand that. Like I want to talk about like red flags when we talk about red flags, when we're talking about connections that can't be survived, like you can't provide in that basic safety or love or care. And when I feel like I'm on fire for it, whatever it is, like what I need is it's okay and you're safe. And I think a lot of survivors need that. Um,
Yes.
what do you like as you're going through? What could you like if someone was listening and they feel like maybe what are some red flags that you would say if you're feeling this, you might want to like chew on that a little bit more because it might be a red flag.
Yeah, yeah. First of all, thank you for sharing that. It is so real. It is so real and so
Hmm.
relatable and so
Hmm.
vulnerable to kind of
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
baseline is just,
I think naming it is a really, really important thing because, and I want you to know this because I really just want to punch your mom in the face, like, and that therapist in the face. Like, I have a real, like, guttural reaction to it. Is
yeah.
that, you're safe here and you're not broken. Like, how any therapist that's telling someone they're broken because of a mental health challenge or not even challenge, that's because of their mental health them. Seriously. Like that's not the way it works.
Yeah, correct.
We're all wired differently.
Yeah.
We're just wired differently, and that's totally okay. So back to
Yeah.
our red flags. I wish Mac had the red flag thing. Like I could like bring up a
Oh my
red
God,
flag.
yeah.
That would be so
Petition
awesome.
to petition to
Yeah,
get a red
I'm
flag.
going to. I'm going to. So, what are red flags for you in regards to
So
like this?
yeah, so like spotting narcissistic or even just like unsafe tendencies
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah, yeah,
relationships.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so I'll share I would say number one,
Hmm.
get to know your body, get to
Hmm.
know
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
your emotions.
Hmm.
Spend
Hmm.
time, make space, and that way you can discern
Hmm.
when something is out of line
Hmm.
and then decide what kind of nuance to approach that misalignment with from there.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just all my discernment comes from like body wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
pattern mapping, sensations, whatever. That's like a huge chunk of it. And then on a more literal, tangible level, I will give you an example because that's the
Mm-hmm.
easiest.
Yeah.
Um, my first love, he was narcissist. He had narcissistic tendencies. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't full blown,
Mm-hmm.
overt like my mom, but
Mm-hmm.
he abused me in some ways. And the first red flag that I ignored because I was just in a washing machine
Yeah.
of abuse and whatever. I was 18 at this time. But the first red flag was um it was like 3 months into our knowing each other, and I told him, I said, sometimes I feel like you don't listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
And his response was, you don't think I feel the same way sometimes? And it was like that right there,
Yeah. Yeah.
walk the other way,
Yeah.
but yeah. So if someone makes you feel unsafe, or I would say if you feel like you have to fight to be
Mm-hmm.
heard or to get your
Mm-hmm.
needs met,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or, another one is like character assassination. Big reason why we carry
Yeah.
the shame, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
just, if you can't name something that you need without somebody getting defensive or
Mm-hmm.
deflective,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
making jabs at your character, it's like, first of all, that says way more about them than
Them.
it
Mm-hmm.
ever does or will say about you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, in the capacity to articulate a need clearly is like it's a skill that a lot of people don't even have. But
Right.
yeah, do you feel safe? Do you feel
Mm-hmm.
valued? Do you feel validated? How does your body feel when you are in their company? Do you kind
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
clench up? And or do you feel peace? Do you feel at ease?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like
Mm-hmm.
yourself? Whatever. I mean, there's so many, yeah, basic things like that, but and then there's so much more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
I love you
that's
when you were talking about the body reaction in regards to like their response to you. I
hmm
think that that's a really important thing. As someone who I'm not completely healed. Like, I don't want to say that. There are still like little bombs that are planted in my head. There is self sabotage that happens sometimes. There's all the things that, a recovery from narcissistic abuse that happens. So I'm not perfect in any sense. The big thing is, for me, is the body sensations when I start to feel some kind of way. And that's the way that I describe
yes,
it. I feel something, then something's off. And that could be
yes,
even before someone speaks. I can feel that. I met someone and I vocalized to my husband, I said, I think that person's a narcissist. And within 30 seconds, it was there. He was like, whoa, I can't believe because there is this energy that emits from them. And, really good narcissists can hide it. But really, people who have been through narcissistic abuse can really find it fast. Cause it's like once you
exactly.
unsee it, like once you see it, you can never unsee it.
Yes,
It's like
yes,
radar. It's my, it's my, narcissistic radar. And for me, I just steer clear of it because it makes sense. Like, I don't want to go through any of that stuff. And
yes,
like, I don't, because here's the real thing. And I don't think, and we've talked about it briefly, the nervous system reset, but I don't think people understand like what a reset or that performative care looks like all the things that you have to do in order to get back to zero. Like, I look at it like a bank account, right? So you are with a narcissist and you are just overcharges all the way down, right? But if you're with someone that is really helping feed your soul, you're just
Mhm.
growing. It's a wealth of energy. And so I think that it's really important for people to understand what performative care looks like in real life.
Yes. Okay. So just to clarify, when you say performative care, you mean like literally when someone is pretending to care, but they don't,
Yes.
and it's a
Yes. Thank you. Thank
versus
you. Yes. Yeah.
authentic.
Versus
Yeah. Okay.
yes.
That's what I thought. So, let's see. So my thoughts on discerning performative care versus
Hmm.
actual care
Yeah. And then why it can be so damaging for survivors.
to
Like
miss
see
the,
the fake. Yeah. To miss the whatever it is that you miss in
yeah.
regards to that care.
Okay. Are you ready? Because I
I'm
have a
ready.
story.
Okay. Let's go.
Okay. Okay. So, whew, this is a big one. So, last year, we're
Hmm.
recording this in March 2026. Last
Yeah.
year in January 2025, I
Hmm.
almost died.
I'm so.
My whole body was shutting down.
Hmm.
Yeah.
hmm hmm
And we all know how abuse makes us sick,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, this
Yeah,
was it. This was it.
yeah, yeah. So, I have also an aunt, and she
Hmm.
is more of a covert narcissist in a
Mm.
different costume. She's the love and light version.
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
She's, and she's a brilliant scientist and
Mhm.
whatnot, but covert narcissist. So
Right.
anyway, she was providing the semblance. She was providing the performative care, the semblance of care. I was bedridden for a few weeks
Hmm. Hmm.
in the beginning of last year. And my aunt would call me on the phone every day.
Hmm.
And you know, viewers make note of this. If someone explains how they're caring for you or what they're doing, instead of actually showing the
Doing
care,
it. Yeah.
there's
That's the first
yellow,
one.
red flag, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So she would do that. She would call me and she would say, "Hi, Leah, I'm just calling you to let you know that I care and just want to make sure that I'm, calling you and seeing how you're doing, blah, blah, blah."
Hmm. Hmm.
And okay, it held me over. It was good
Hmm.
enough for what I thought. I don't even know,
Yeah.
whatever. So that went on every day. And part of my illness, my health issues. So basically the short story of what I was going through is I was dealing with unchecked parasites and
Mm.
systemic toxicity for my whole
Hmm.
life.
Okay.
So it got to a point where I was overloaded, my body was shutting down, my
Right.
skin barrier was completely broken. I was going to sleep and waking up every single day with my actual like nerves in deep inside my skin,
Mm.
like feeling like someone was stabbing them with needles
Hmm.
because the toxins chafe up against the myelin sheath, the protective
Yep.
fat that wraps around the nerves,
Hmm.
and it touches the nerve and it erodes the fat. So when you have so much systemic
Hmm.
toxins in your body, it
Hmm.
creates this unbearable kind of rawness. And so I would scratch, and I mean, I still have some like little scars that won't show up on the camera from like
Yeah. Yeah.
spots that I
Just
was
scratching.
scratching
Hmm. Hmm.
constantly for like weeks, like months, literally months. And I don't know, I would take a shower, for
Hmm.
example, and tremble for hours afterwards. I couldn't wear clothes, I couldn't do anything. I was like
Hmm. Hmm.
dysfunctional,
Hmm.
neurological issues, whatever. So that was kind of the state that I was in. And that was what I was going through when my aunt was calling me every day, like, "Hey, I'm just letting you know I care." And one day I was venting about the state of my skin
Hmm.
and how I was so pissed off and sad and full of grief that I couldn't function and I couldn't
Hmm.
breathe without
Hmm.
ripping my skin open. I would wake up covered in just like dead skin everywhere. Like it
Hmm.
was, I'm
Hmm.
not even kidding. Like my skin barrier wasn't working at all for like
Hmm. Hmm.
weeks.
Hmm.
And then it took months for it to heal. So anyway, I was complaining about that to my aunt, and her spiritual bypassy reply was, "You're so lucky to be so sensitive." And that was a breaking point. And
Hmm.
among the other words that I said in my text reply to her, I said, "Fuck you." I
Hmm.
said, "Fuck you"
Hmm.
to her. And that "fuck you" just blew up in her mind, and it was the only thing that existed, right? Like her invalidation of me and my rejection of that and my
Mm-hmm.
anger, my lividity was all of a sudden the most important thing in the world to her. And I didn't matter anymore, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And she never once asked what she could do. Can I cook for you? Can I do this for you? Do you need me to come over today? Do you need me to help you? Whatever. None of that.
Mm-hmm.
No, just work, work, work.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, the performance illusion bubble popped when I said fuck you, and she
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
ghosted me for 3 weeks after that point. And I was like, I'm just not going to respond to this bitch because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
let's just see what happens. Let's just see. Let's just see. I'm
Mm-hmm.
already like,
Mm-hmm.
I already am kind of realizing the cost of my precious life right now as I'm in such a dire situation that I can afford to let her show her true colors and not
Mm-hmm.
reach for her,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because if she really is like evil, then I don't want to, keep entangling. Anyway, three
Right.
weeks later, she responded finally. And the first thing she said was, Hey, Alea, I accidentally ordered groceries to your house and there's meat in there. Do you think you could put them in the
What
fridge?
a fucking bitch. Ugh. Ugh.
I know, I know. And then I ignored her from then on, but she kept asking me for favors, you
Yep.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
like when I realized and then a similar situation happened to catalyze me making the decision that I'm going to become estranged from my mother, my narcissistic abusive mother. So with my mom, I was having a flare up and I was laying on the floor of my bedroom and I called her in because I needed a human body there in case I needed water, in case I
Yeah.
needed help
Yeah.
standing, in case
Right.
survival.
Yep.
So she came and just sat on my bed while I laid on the floor, like naked under a towel, sitting in front of a space heater. Couldn't regulate my own body temperature. This is in Southeast Florida, by the way. It's hot there. And I needed to sit in front of a space heater because I couldn't wear clothes because my skin
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
couldn't
Because it hurt.
tolerate
Yeah.
any,
Yeah.
yeah,
I get
unbearable.
it.
So she sat there for no more than like 10 minutes and she's always on her phone. So she was on her phone then. And she got a call from her work. And then I knew that she would abuse me for getting mad at her, but I got mad at her anyway, and I let myself rage. And I said, You're so fucking selfish. I can't believe you can't stay with your sick daughter for more than 10 minutes when I'm literally the most vulnerable that I have been in my life other than, infancy. Like I was
Yeah. Yeah.
dependent
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
And she called me selfish. And she was like, You
Mm.
have no idea how hard this work call is for me, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, wow. And so that was the moment that I realized, like, yeah, this woman is
Mm.
sociopathic.
Mm.
She doesn't have empathy.
Mm-mm.
And neither does my aunt past a
Mm.
certain point, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's when the bubble burst to the deeper layer where the nature of their care, performative care, was
Mm-hmm.
revealed to me. And why is that harmful for survivors not to realize that is because, well, when you don't realize that, you're susceptible to eventually realizing it
Yeah.
and then, going through that kind of death loss, like on a nervous system level,
Yeah.
that death
Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
realizing like your primary attachment figure is your mother, your parents, your family, and
Mm-hmm.
realizing
Mm-hmm.
that they're freaking sociopathic, they lack empathy,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
literally care less if you died. Like
Yes.
I'm gonna go
Yes.
there. Like and when you were talking about the long game
Yeah.
thing, it's like
Yeah.
genuine narcissists, especially if they have sociopathic tendencies,
Yeah.
which so
Yeah.
many of them do,
Yeah.
they are unbothered if you're dead. It's kind of
Yes.
they want it
Yes.
anyway,
It's interesting.
Be
First, I want to like, I'm trying to hug you. Like, I know you're so far away. I'm trying to hug you. Fuck your mom. You are such an awesome person. Fuck her. Fuck your aunt. Fuck them all. So that's number one. Number two, thank you for sharing that because I know like it brings up a lot of stuff and your nervous system probably like is like, ah, right. So, Butter, your mama needs you. Just go over there. That's the, um, And and to build on that death part, like they don't care if you're dead. Like there are there's like a ton of like it's fad right now. I'll say fad, like a lot of Munchausen by proxy documentaries or movies. And there's a lot of comorbidity with narcissism, sociopathic tendencies, or they're a sociopath, narcissism, and this Munchausen by proxy because it brings attention to them. And that that same like clarity to know, like you having that clarity of she could give a fuck if I'm dead is the same clarity
Right.
that clicked me out of it with my mom, where
Yeah.
I remember the conversation I talked about it in another podcast where I was like sitting on our stairs and I said to my husband, who had seen me probably for about 6 months, it was the first 6 months of our relationship, seen me struggle with my mom, seen other things go on. And I said, I'm so upset. I'm so upset. My mom could get a fuck if I was dead. And he said, no, she couldn't. And I was like, and that comment just kind of snapped me out of this, like, I don't want to be in this circle. I don't want to go round and round. I don't want to play this to and fro with my mom. She's my fucking mom. She's supposed to love me no matter what I look like, no matter who I am, no matter what's going on. I'm supposed to be able to run to her house if something bad happens. Fuck this noise. I'm not doing this anymore. And that was the moment that I was like, very similar to yours in a very different way. I am so incredibly sorry that you had to go through that and to get to that point because it's fucking shitty. Like I can't even think, like I'm very sensitive to touch, like I have to have certain things on me. I can't even think of I can't fathom how difficult that was. So I'm so incredibly sorry that you went through it. And fuck your mom and fuck your aunt and fuck anybody who let you go through that. I'm it's Friday, the end of the week and the of a long week. So fuck it, like that's the thing. And then to blame
Thank you.
you, that's the part, right?
Yeah.
She blamed you. Like
Yeah.
you were very vulnerable in that moment, the moment of where you were at, but also vulnerable to tell her, like, hey, that was a really shitty thing. If she would have stopped and been like, you know what, it was shitty, I'm really sorry, you would have been like, okay, like there's some growth. Maybe we can like repair this. But no, she didn't do that. And here is the other carrot. I am not going to let anyone say, well, her work was hard. Like she needed that. No, fuck you. My kid is not well. Fuck
Yeah.
work. If it's not there tomorrow, fuck it. We'll figure out another job. Anything to do
Yep.
with my family, if there's anything that's happening with my family, fuck it. I'm gonna drop whatever I'm doing. Like as we were talking right now, my daughter is actually sick, or our oldest. So I messaged her really quick to see how she's doing, so I could say, "Hey, do you want me to Instacart you something?" Like she was asking for a soup earlier, but she's been, there's this horrible cold that's going around in this area, so I wanted to, check in on her. That's what
Of course.
parents do. like,
Yeah. Yep.
like that's what parents do, and
Yeah. And I can I add too to this?
yeah, yes, of
So,
course.
one of the things that makes narcissistic abuse so insidious is that I can recall times that my mom went out to the store and bought me my favorite mac and cheese. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
been sick
yeah.
and I've been in need before, so it's tough when you have that contrast. And then another thing that I'll add too for context, and this is gonna blow your mind, but the reason that the call that she took in that moment was because she was receiving an award at her
Fuck your
work.
mom. Fuck your mom. Seriously. Ugh, gross.
And then
That's so gross.
I know, and then get this as well. I created a GoFundMe for myself, for
Mhm.
my I was getting hyperbaric
Yeah,
oxygen
yeah, yeah,
therapy
yeah.
with
It's expensive
whatever.
in our healthcare system. That's another podcast, but Yes.
Yes, yes. So I created that and I shared it on my Instagram. I shared it with my extended family group chat. And I've never been like warm or close with my extended family,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
whatever. I'm in the
yeah,
group chat, okay,
yeah.
whatever. So I sent a message to all of them saying like, "Hey, I don't expect any of you to donate to this, but please read this and share it if
Yeah.
you can. This is what I'm going through right now. It's kind of a dire situation."
Mm-hmm.
And all that happened was I got two compassionate text messages from two family members, but I didn't get any help other than that.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the
Mm-hmm.
same chat, my mom, criticized my wording in my GoFundMe, and then she sent a photo of herself holding this award at her workplace into the group chat, and everybody was like, "Congratulations!" Yeah,
Ah,
so
yeah.
and then
It's
it was the whole thing. So it was like I
oh,
was like
yeah,
my mom, my aunt, and now my whole family,
yeah,
they're dead to me after all of
yeah.
that.
And
Like,
that's the thing that kill like for me, that is what kills me because you know, I don't talk to like 95% of my family. Some of it is as a result of being biracial. There is some like really heavy racism that's going on in my family that since my grandfather died, they can't seem to keep in check. And so there's that aspect of it. And stupidity or education level will not save them from that. Like, meaning they can't say, oh, well, I didn't know that. When they apologize, they don't apologize based on impact. They apologize based on their own intent. So that's, like I said, a whole nother podcast. Like, I say to you, I see you. I see that. That's so fucked up. Like, you don't even have to explain it to me. I know it's fucked up, and there's no shame in you saying this stuff. Like, I totally get it. I mean, the podcast is about it, and I totally get it. Right. Um, but one of the things that's so hard for a lot of narcissistic survivors is finding those people who are your people, like who are your chosen
yes.
family, finding your community, um, because it's really hard for us to trust, but also really hard for people to hear some of the stuff. And one thing I want to say for anybody who loves someone who's a narcissistic survivor, one of the best things you can do for them is listen and then tell them that you see them, because that's not anything that anybody's ever done for us before. And I think that for me, that trauma bonded me to my husband, and now we're forever together, is what I tell him. But what for you? What are your like most important values that you look into when you're making these new connections? We talked about, you going to that community group and it was a little bit, not exactly what it is. But when you're making those new connections, or when you're ready to open yourself to more, right? Because a lot of times we close ourselves down just so that we can get back to zero, get to where we need to be. But your bangs are gonna like attract some guys. I know this. So I, I'm very jealous of people who can rock a good bang, because I look like a 2 year old. So, but tell me, like, what are some of the things that you value the most when you're looking for those new connections?
So I think for me, I think like one of the characteristics that I value the most in like a close relationship
Mhm.
is when someone has the capacity to put their ego to the side,
Mm,
and we
mhm,
can exchange like unconditional presence. Like, and that's really, really, really important to me because emotions, you know, they're tricky as it is, but then
mhm,
I also really, really, really value when a person has space inside themselves to relate with their own emotions, um, spaciousness,
mhm,
inner
mhm,
spaciousness, curiosity,
mhm,
because when you have that space,
mhm,
there's less friction or less tension when it
mhm,
comes
mhm,
to connecting in places that are really deep, really uncomfortable.
mhm, mhm,
And then also, I would say the maturity and capacity and awareness to um, navigate the tight squeeze
Mm-hmm,
parts,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So yeah, I think that I'm gonna say like when someone trusts the intelligence of their ego and of their body, I think
mm-hmm,
I think
mm-hmm.
that's like probably one of my number ones because, you know, yeah, I'm here to explore and share experiences and not to engage in any kind of like microaggressive
Mm-hmm.
war type relating. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that whole like mean girl thing, like death by a thousand cuts. Like I hate, I'm not good at that kind of stuff. Like I can probably dish it out and make you cry, but I don't want to. Like that's not who I am.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
the
I got
right.
claws.
Yeah. Just because they're not out all
Yeah.
the time doesn't mean I can't do it. And so that I think is really, really important. Said being able to navigate those tight spots or those tight squeeze spots is really important because if you can't be there during the ugly, I don't want you there during the good times.
Yeah.
Like I know, like I said to you earlier, like, okay, we're writing at dawn. We're gonna go take care of business. Like that is something I really like. Who will I do that for? I do that for my husband, my mother-in-law, and my kids, and probably my grandmother-in-law. That loyalty in a sense of, but without loyalty, without like taking off your air mask is really important because we're
Yeah.
nothing if we can't take care of ourselves. So that's for me, that's really, really like an important thing. I want to talk a little
100%.
bit. Yes. I want to talk a little bit about your toolkit and this
Mhm.
like sustainable rewiring. So can you tell me, I kind of probably know what made you think about doing this, but like what made you shift from, okay, this is something I did for me. What can I do to turn this into something that will be useful to others?
Right. Yeah. So I think my faith is like
Mhm,
the answer to that. So and it's a great question. The reason why I decided to start using my discoveries tools to
mhm,
help other
mhm,
people empower was because between all of the moments where basically, I think just to keep it simple, in all the moments where I was, at my weakest, basically, or if I,
yeah, yeah,
was whatever. The strength that got me through was knowing that if I survive this, I'm going to come out of it with love to
mhm,
give to somebody else who's going through this alone. And
mhm,
that was my motivation. That was what pulled me through the hardest of the hard times,
mhm,
like last year.
mhm,
So I would say really it was just like faith and just like
mhm,
almost
mhm,
like a perverted excitement, like a weird
mhm.
kinky excitement
Yeah,
that
yeah,
like
yeah,
if
yeah.
I really get crushed up in the jaws of hell and come out
Mhm,
still
mhm,
glowing in some way, I'm gonna
mhm,
give people my tools,
mhm,
and give the comfort and the love. It's like the light gets in through the cracks, like
mhm,
all of
mhm.
the trauma and dark spaces that I survived through. I found, I call it, God's love, unconditional love,
Yeah,
whatever. I
yeah,
found love
yeah.
in those spaces in myself. And so I'm like, if I'm surviving this for any reason, it's so I can give love to other people who need it in those cracks, that is so
Mhm,
hard to find yourself because it's like in that place, it's like you either look up or you cave inward and you
mhm, mhm.
collapse. And
Yes,
it's, been at that juxtaposition countless times throughout my life. So that's what motivates me to share and to be
I
here
love
and
that.
have conversations and
I
stuff
love
like
that
that. So
so many people. will gain value to that. And we'll make sure that we put the links to your toolkit and all that in the show notes so people can figure out how to get a hold of you. What I would love for you to share, or what I would love for us to close on, is what do you wish that more people understood about the true cost of healing after that narcissistic abuse, and how they can like see the light and get past it?
I will say is that you were not wired the way that you were wired in vain. You are perfect as you are, period. There's no arguing with that. You are
Hmm. Hmm.
perfect. You're perfect. And of course, nobody's perfect, but it's like, no, you're wired
Hmm.
how you
Hmm.
are, and there's a divine intelligence in that. And
Hmm. Hmm.
so you know, I don't want people to feel shame for needing what they need, for hurting how they hurt, and
Hmm.
for hurting openly in places that maybe nobody else knows how to address or how to handle. Maybe you've never felt loved or supported in this particular way or area of your life before. But that does not mean something's wrong with you. I just want people to walk away from this and from through the rest of their lives being free from shame and feeling at peace and in love, feeling love in themselves, because that's because your nature is love. You're created in love. And if you think something's wrong with you, you know, or you're at fault somehow, it's that's not the case. You're just living in a world in weird times and unfortunate circumstances where you don't have the support you need. And that's really
Hmm.
hard and devastating to realize, but it's so
Hmm.
liberating to be able
Hmm.
to name it. And it's empowering because the more we can point a finger and say, this is bad, this is not good
Hmm.
for me,
Hmm.
and this is what I need. Even if no one's able to meet it, it's like, let's get louder about what we need so that we can build that and pioneer that for future generations, God
Hmm.
forbid,
Hmm.
who are going through the same thing, but like,
Hmm.
so that we can create the soft landing pad for other people that we never had.
Hmm.
But shame is just, it's a lie.
Hmm.
So that's what I want people to walk away from, with from this.
Yes. I cannot thank you, Aaliyah, and Miss Butter enough for being with me today. I really appreciate. Oh, shoots. um, I really, really appreciate you being vulnerable with me and talking about this like really difficult time in your life, and like where you are on the other side. I think it's going to bring a lot of just healing to a lot of people. So thank you. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, Aaliyah, for being with us today. And thank you for listening. If this resonates with you, I want you to remember you're not too much and you were never the problem. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the Beyond Mommy Dearest podcast and share with someone who you think might need this. Until next time, keep choosing yourself.
Your skin is a part of your nervous system, and taking care of it is essential to overall balance. Our products are specifically formulated to nourish your skin and bring it closer to homeostasis with every use. Start feeling better in your body today with the Happy Cannabis.